video. Hi everybody. So we're gonna start with a shape. You get to decide how you want to do this. I don't need the reading glasses for the yoga. I'm gonna start with a seated forward bending butterfly because I want to stretch out my back. You could also start with a lying down butterfly. You can put like a couple of throw pillows under your knees or yoga blocks if you happen to have something like that. Oh, that feels kind of good. I don't know. I might stay here. I liked the other idea until I did this idea. And so, you know, just allowing the hips to open up, allowing the shoulders to relax. If you want to put a rolled up blanket under your shoulder blades or under your head, you can do that. Oh, try the feet a little farther away from you or a little closer in. See if you can find the just right spot. So we're going to stay here for about 3 minutes. And if it feels like things get too sharp, throw in some props. I might do that in a moment. Right now it's feeling pretty good. And then tune into your breath. Let the rest of the world drip away or drop away. So one of the things that happens for me after a few moments of just kind of letting myself get used to the ambient noise around me and the sound of things happening, whether that's, you know, people or pets or lawnmowers or whatever, is I then like to come back to just kind of doing a little head to toe check-in. So scanning the muscles on my scalp and across my, you know, like right here around the temples up to the ear. Those little places right in there can be really tight sometimes, especially if we've been accidentally holding tension in our jaw. And allow the eye itself to kind of get a little heavier, a little softer into the socket. I like to imagine the jaw and my lips getting a little softer and fluffier. And then, by just doing that, just tuning into the muscles of my face, it helps me feel a little bit more like I've downshifted and eased the seat back in my 1963 Corvette Stingray of the mind. It's always a 63, you guys. I don't know why. So we'll stay for about another 2 big breaths. And then you can inhale yourself up if you're seated, and if you're laying on your back, you can bring the knees together first. And then once you get yourself all the way up doing the seated position, then you can straighten out your legs and do what I'm doing. Now, there are 2 ways to do this next little yin sequence. You can stay on your back and do them from down here, which is really nice. You're just going to cross one leg over the other, and for some of us, that is going to be plenty of sensation. Stuff is already happening out here on the hip. If you can bring your legs in a little bit, you can certainly do that and kind of hang on to the ankles. So that's option 1. And then the second option is to do this as a seated pose. And I find it helpful to have a block for this. If you don't have a block, again, a throw pillow works wonders. They make great yoga blocks. Blocks are a little clearly more firm, but throw pillows are awesome, awesome yoga props. So you can have the knees on top of each other. When I do that, it leans me into one hip. And so for me, it's a little better if I square it up. And again, the reason I like the block is because this can be really tight and this bony part of my ankle kind of pushes into the tender flesh of my inner thigh. So if I just take the leg out, and you can go way out there like that even, or you can even do this with the bottom leg straight and just kind of take it over. Now for me, that creates a hyperextension in my knee, so I just need a little pillow underneath that bottom knee to make this one a little more comfortable. So just kind of finding an external hip stretch that feels good. Now, if sitting straight upright or lying down with your legs is enough sensation, you're done. The thing about yin that's really important for all of us to grasp is that we're not trying to go to the point where we can't stand it anymore. That's way past the edge. We're off the cliff at that point. What we're looking for is the spot where it's like, oh yeah, I feel that. Like right in that zone where I've just got that sensation. If I don't feel anything, then I can deepen this by bringing the torso and the legs closer together, whether that's bringing the legs into the chest or bringing the chest towards the legs. And then there might be more sensation out here. And so just kind of finding your way in. I always start with a little movement. Take a breath, exhale out, and then let yourself settle in. And we'll stay here for about 2 more minutes. We've been here for about a minute or so, give or take. Trying to breathe deep as best you can. Try to fill up, get to all the little teeny tiny parts of your lungs. Sometimes when we're stressed or under pressure, we don't breathe very deeply. We actually breathe with just the upper lobes of the lungs. Just taking some deep breaths where we make the breath go into all of the different parts of the lung helps to break up any fluid that might be lurking in there from just not breathing very deeply. If you're prone to shallow breathing practices, patterns, for a variety of reasons, you can be. It's a good practice when you hit your yoga mat, first settle into your yin pose, to just breathe. We got 1 more minute here, you guys. You don't have to stay perfectly still. Yin poses don't have to be static. In fact, I kind of like them better if there's like a tiny bit of a check out here. I lean a little tiny bit this way, a little tiny bit that way. It's not a big movement, it's very tiny. Sometimes I add a little bigger, like I might go over that way, for example, to see what that does. But mostly just tiny. The difference is I don't want to fidget, right? So if I'm fidgeting, like I can't calm myself, then I'm doing something that's pushing my nervous system too far. And my body's trying to communicate that to me. I wish my body spoke English and just said, hey, don't do that. But it doesn't. It gives me these little signals I have to interpret. So we're going to take 1 more big breath. Let go with an ah. Now if you're on your back, you'll let go of your feet if you're holding them. Seated, we're going to inhale and kind of lean back so that we open up the space, and then unwind your legs. And then pause. And give everything a little movement. See where it landed you. I love when we've done something on one side but we haven't done the other side yet. This is my favorite moment in yoga, when I undo a pose and see where it landed me, and then just pause to feel. So it takes a couple breaths, but right at this moment I'm feeling this really lovely sort of peaceful lightness come into my body. If I were instead feeling heavy, clunky tenderness, then I was too pushy. And it's good to learn that up front, you know, or like as we're practicing, so that you can learn from the practice that you're doing. So we're going to do the other side, and this is our last yin moment for this class. So you're going to adjust your body, so the other leg's on top. And then, this one feels so good. This is usually my really sensitive hip. It's like a little bit more muscular, it's a little bit tighter. But for some reason, ever since I have been home a lot, it feels so good to stretch it. So it's been a nice kind of side effect of doing this, is feeling a little more of a sense of welcome in my strong and powerful hip. Nice deep breaths. Again, every now and then I come back to my mouth. This is where I carry my little telltale signs of stress. Is my lips get a little thinner and I feel tension in my jaw. So from time to time coming back to there and remembering, oh yeah, relax. Oh yeah, let go. Yin invites us into this really deep sense of surrender. So we've got one more minute here, you guys. Feeling this invitation. It's usually the 3-minute mark is usually a sweet spot for me. And often why I hold my yin poses longer than 3 minutes is because like right at this point everything is like, oh yeah, come on in girl. And so that feels so nice. We're gonna take one more big breath though. I'll come back to it later. And let go with a big ah. And then if you're on your back, you unwind your legs. And I'm gonna inhale myself all the way back and unwind the legs. And then we'll give this a moment just to kind of move, a little shimmy. Oh. And then right about there, 3 breaths in is the moment where I usually know whether I did a good thing or not because I feel how my body responds to that practice. So you're gonna gently transition yourself to an all fours position and do some cat shapes. So I'm gonna get my little props just situated so that I have a couple blocks nearby. If you don't have yoga blocks, again, you can be creative. I have used pots and pans in the past, actually. Like a couple of soft spots turned upside down. Make awesome yoga blocks. They're a little firm, but they do work. So once you get here, go ahead and start moving your back around. And you can do this like into little cobra shapes. Or you can, it feels a little abusive after that forward bending, but you can definitely do it if it feels good to you. Or you can do these kind of snaky cat shapes. And play with the wrists, especially if you've been on your computer all day. It might be nice to lean back into a wrist stretch. Woo. And then unwind that. Oh yeah. Now we're going to bring this to a low lunge. So we're going to bring a leg forward, and this lunge, we're going to let ourselves, we're going to come back to a shape like this in a minute, but for now we're going to let ourselves go in and out. So I'm just going to rock back and rock forward. You want to be mindful of your kneecap. If you need extra support, by all means add that. With a carpeted floor, for the most part, I'm pretty good. You might have a wooden floor. You might be out on your deck. And so now I'm going to find the spot right where it feels like, yeah, that's exactly right. And then I'm just going to add a little movement to this. So I'm going to turn this way and open up sideways. And then I'm going to turn this way and say, hey, the credenza and the lava lamp. And then we're going to back that off and fold over this front leg. And sometimes I like my toes pulled back. It gets me a little more calf stretch. If I point the toes, it's a little more on the shin, so I can rock back and forth and do both. Or just pick one. You might get really close to your leg, or you might be up a little higher. Ooh, nice. All right, yogis. Let's switch legs. So if you want to throw in a vinyasa, you can step yourself back to a plank, lower down, do your inhale into a back bend. Come on back to downward dog, and then step yourself forward for your lunge. You want to wait on that until after this little lunge. You can do that. So when you get here, you start this little process of kind of moving forward and back. This knee for me is more sensitive, so I'm not going to go quite as far back for now. Just going to get right into that hip. There it is. find a good sweet spot. Oh, invite myself to some twistiness. Just open up some space. Oh, I'm gonna twist this way. Ooh. Oh, that feels so nice, yogis. And then I'm gonna, first of all, I'm gonna adjust my kneecap, and then I'm gonna come back here. And again, you can move the foot and feel how that shifts the stretch a little bit and get deeper, more shallow. So one more choice and a breath. All right, so I'm going to step myself back into downward dog. You can take yourself there, and then you can throw in the vinyasa. You can take yourself to a plank, modified or full, and run through that vinyasa, or you can follow me and just take your dog into a kind of liquefied state, because maybe your shoulders are sore from sitting all day and they're just not in the mood. So we're going to take a leg up nice and high. Sink into that heel on the bottom when you get there. I like to do a little, you could flip your dog upside down, by the way. I will run into the credenza, so I'm going to just strap this baby forward. Now, you have three choices. You can come up to a high lunge, you can do a warrior one, or you can follow me. I'm going to do warrior two. And sometimes I like to get really dramatic. I like to always check in with my hips, make sure I like where I landed. Come to reverse. And over to a side angle. Let's do that twice more. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, your side angle. High. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, your side angle. And then we're going to swap this into one of two poses. You can do the triangle, or you can stay with that side angle and maybe add a bind to it if that's available to you. I am feeling a triangle coming on. So I'm going to play with the hip adjustment, create some length in my spine, feel that rotation. And again, yoga poses are coral reefs. They're not statues. And so when we're in a pose, we're trying to find that sensation of present in our living tissue, allowing ourselves to find the space that feels good today. We're going to do one more breath. And then we'll take it back to dog. And again, this is where you throw your vinyasa in. Coming forward into plank. Working through a cobra and upward dog. And then we'll do this other side. So take a leg up, sink into your standing heel. See if that guy wants to flip upside down. And then step it forward. And take either your warrior one, your warrior two, or your high lunge. And then find your pose. Now again, I'm going to do this reverse warrior flow. It's harder in a high lunge or warrior one. You can just choose a slightly different movement pattern. And then either hold in this shape, maybe adding a bind, or taking it to a triangle. Taking a moment to explore that triangle. Maybe it's fun to look at your thumb. Maybe it feels better to look down at your toe. Let's do one more big breath. And then we'll come on out. Now, take it back to down dog. Again, throw your vinyasa in there as you like, or follow me, do a little dancing dog. All right, let's do the other side one more time. So we're going to take a leg up. We're going to bring it in, curl it up, take it back. Bring it in, curl your back. One more time, bring it back. Oh, and then step it through. Oh, as lightly as you can, given the circumstances. And we'll come back. So again, I'm going to choose a warrior 2, and I'm going to move in and out of this shape. So in and out with just the lower body. And I'm going to do this Qigong style movement with my arms. If I wanted to do a high lunge, I could bring this knee down closer to the ground and then straighter, right? So if you want to pick a different pose, you can. I'm basically going to just make a figure 8 in the air with my arms. Don't be too worried about it. Just make whatever shape you can make. All right, one more. Now, I'm going to straighten out the legs, turn and fold, and I'm going to turn toward you so you don't have to look at my bum. So I've got my feet turned in a little bit, and then when I fold, I rock a little bit up and down. Oh, shake out. Oh, maybe even turn it into a little squat. And then it might feel better for my toes to be turned out a little bit. I'll feel that in my hip or my knee joint. So I just honor whatever that feels like. And I'm trying to get like as long in my spine as I can. I'm stretching the crown of my head toward this floor. I got a really short torso, so it's not going to touch the ground. Some people have tight hamstrings, and that's why they're not going to go down that far. But you're just, maybe your spine is out like this, right? So you just lengthen it out away from the hip. Oh, we're going to do that one more breath here, and then when we get to the other side, we'll add a twist to this. Alright, so you're either going to do your vinyasa, you're going to come around and take that into your plank, or you're going to come back with me and do this dancing dog. Ooh, Ooh dogs. I love me some downward dog. Alright, other leg. So when you're there, leg comes up, bring it in, curl up. Inhale, bring it in, curl up. Inhale, and then we're going to step it forward. And again, you're looking for the pose you want to mess with. So we're going to straighten out the leg or bend the back knee if you're doing the high lunge. Just kind of letting yourself pick what's right for you, or just follow me and see what happens. So this is a Qigong practice for the arms, and the reason we do it is because the meridians for the lungs, both of the intestines, the heart, all run through our fingertips and our arms. And so we're trying to create a balance in the flow of life force, chi, to those places. Now, straighten out that leg, and we're going to fold. Now, I'm going to use a block because I find it a little easier, because again, I've got a longer legs than I have a torso. So we're going to get our back really long and flat, or, well, you know, as much as the back can be. Then, rotate open. So if you can see me, because I can't see the screen anymore, I am going to just add a little twist here. Sometimes my hips want to go with me. I can stabilize them, or I can go with. Now, if you're sticking around, what you'll do is you will pause here, and you can do a vinyasa sequence or just kind of hang out. We're going to come back. All right. Hello. So this is gentle yoga with a little restorative at the end. So we're going to start with just a kind of seated position where you've got your legs stretched out in a little bit of a V shape, and then you want to feel and see what's happening for you. For some people, that means the pelvis leans back. And so if that's the case, sitting up on a blanket or on the edge of a throw pillow is going to be really useful. For me, there's usually a feeling of hyperextension in the back of my knee. So I like to take a blanket and put a rolled up blanket underneath my knees. Now, one leg is going to be straight and one leg is going to be bent. And if you were here for the last class, then you might be warmer. And if you're just joining us for this, take a moment and get into this shape. Take a deep breath and just let go for a second. Take some breaths. Sit upright. Just find your seat in this shape where you've got one straight leg and one bent leg. Now your straight leg can be wider out to the side, or it can be more down the center, like I have mine adjusted here. I like to adjust the sit bones. And then when you feel ready, you're going to fold forward. And what you can do, if you've got some couch cushions or pillows or something handy, is you can build yourself a little place to lay down. Right, so you can relax into, I might want one more couch cushion, but I'm going to stick with this. Just kind of let yourself relax into this stretch. So this takes us to a slightly more restorative place with this. Restorative yoga, if you've never practiced it, is a yoga practice that's similar to yin in that we stay a little longer in shapes, but instead of having that point where we're like, yeah, I feel a stretch, it's more that we focus on the relaxation. So instead of focusing on the sensation of stretch or pull or whatever you might want to use, whatever word might fit, we're focusing on the sensation of letting go and releasing down and getting softer. And so the props are really helpful for that reason, so that we can make the pose an appropriate amount of sensation so that the body doesn't tense up. So we're going to take one more big breath here. And then we'll inhale our way up. And then we'll shake this all out. So in a restorative practice, we might have held that pose for longer, like even as long as 10 minutes. So this is more the gentle end of things. And then we'll do some restorative things that are a little bit longer and give us a chance to maybe be upside down a little bit. Okay, so we're going to switch sides. And we're going to create a situation where there are, if you want to, you don't have to use props, you can, or couch cushions or whatever you got. You can just use you and the body, the body and whatever you're sitting on. And then let yourself lean forward, adjust, and breathe. Take one more big breath. And then we'll inhale ourselves up. And so we're just kind of letting ourselves get settled. Now, I'm going to set these off to the side. And I'm going to lie down. Now, once I'm lying down, I can use like a towel or a strap or my hands to hold on to my leg. I'm just going to use my hands tonight, but if you've got a strap or something handy, you can grab those things. We're going to take one leg and just bring it in and give it that guy a hug. And then the other leg we're going to straighten out all the way. So I might have to organize myself a little bit on this space. And then giving that leg a hug, we're going to spin this ankle joint in some nice spinning motions. And then go the other direction after a bit. I kind of do this until it feels like it's a good time to stop. When it feels like, yeah, that's good. Sometimes I challenge myself to do 50 circles in each direction. That's a fun little practice if you've got some time on your hands. And then back and forth with a point and flex when you're ready. Okay, so what I'm going to do is essentially like a lunging upside down kind of movement. So I've got my knee and thigh in this lunge position. I'm holding onto my foot. You might be able to just hold onto the ankle or just hold onto the leg, or you can use a strap for all this. So what we're going to do is take this leg to the ground, like that. That's going to make this side come off the floor, and that is what we're going to work with. So we're going to stretch through this side. And I will swing the leg across and then bring it out. And as I bring it out, it's going to pull me back to the ground. And when that happens, I'm going to grab my leg with both hands and do a little rock the baby. Ooh, rock the baby. I'm going to do this 3 times. So I'm going to go down to the ground. Use this side to stretch out. Oh, because I love it. Oh. And then, oh, I'm going to come on back and rock my baby. I'm going to do this one more time. This is my favorite thing right now. I forget about this sometimes for a couple years, and then I'll be like, oh, I forgot about that. That would be awesome. Now I'm hooked on it. So, bring it across. When you take it out, you gotta get to the point where it's bringing you back. That's where we're gonna pause. And we're gonna let this guy go. And we're gonna stretch out both legs. And give it a little bit of a and then just pause. And does the leg that we just did that work with feel different than the other leg? You know, is there a difference in the way the hips feel, or the thigh, or the knee, or even the spine? Like, it feels to me there's a slight difference in the sides of my waist and even in my shoulders. So just making note of that. And then I'm going to do this other leg, so I'm going to bring this guy in and then spin the foot. And go the other way. And then point and flex. I might be a little close to this credenza right now, but I like to say the word credenza. I don't know what this piece of furniture is actually called, but in any case, so I got a hold of my foot. You can hold on to your knee or your ankle, whatever you got, and then bring this guy down. Yep, me and this piece of furniture are going to have a moment. But anyway, so then that other leg, side of the waist, shoulder, everything becomes, stretchy and long. Oh, God, that feels good. And then you swing it around until you come back, and then rock your baby. Ooh. All right. So then we're going to do it again. Bring it all the way down, and then stretch into it. And this feeling of being able to drop my thigh further back than the front of my hip is what I'm after, because that is getting really into these deep hip flexor muscles that live in here, our psoas, our iliacus, our iliopsoas, and then also the little tops of the quads and the tensor fasciae lata. Runners know all about tensor fasciae lata, I bet. Anyway, it will try to help your glute stabilize your hip when you run. And sometimes it jacks up your IT band. So that feels really nice to me, to stretch like right in that front pocket right there, because that's where that little guy lives. All right, one more. So we're going to come all the way down. And then give yourself a nice big long stretch. And again, if you experience tightness in your IT band, aim for that area right there. And give yourself a chance to really stretch into that shape. And then as you swing the leg around, you're going to come all the way back. We're going to let go. And we're going to give this thing a rinse. Now we're going to work with some bridge pose. So the bridge, we're going to do a movement called Dvipadapitham, which is a moving bridge. It's an up and down. Dvipadapitham. Dvi means two. Pada means foot. And pitham is the action of moving up and down, like a wave action. And so it's literally two-footed butt lift. In this case, two-footed wave action. How's that? So we're going to snuggle in the shoulders, and we're going to lift the hips and lift the arms. And then when I get here, I kind of like to swing it around a little bit. And then leave your arms and roll down. Try to go down nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time. Try to feel that come down. Ooh, if you're like me and you just got a hamstring cramp, just rinse that thing out when your hips come down. And then bring your arms down. So we're going to do that action 3 more times. So hips go up, arms go up. And then scoop and come down nice and slow. Just see if you can feel those little vertebrae. Come down and rest heavy on the ground. When you get down, bring your arms back. And rinse out any tension in your legs. I've been having hot flashes the last couple days, and my hamstrings and calves are cramping up tonight. I've been several times, so I'm going to work with it, and hopefully it will go away as I keep breathing. Here we go, 2 more. Hips up, arms up. Scoop in, bring it down slow. And I'm like feeling my upper back right now. Even though the rest of my back is close to the ground, it's not heavy yet. So I'm feeling those. There's the sacrum right there. So trying to feel that easy going, slow movement of heavy vertebrae, one at a time, one at a time, one at a time, one at a time, like a string of pearls. So, one more. So we're going up, hips up, arms up. Oh, hold on. Let me get around my pillow here. There we go. And then really give it like a little rinse, and then scoop in your tailbone. You can even lift up onto your tiptoe. Sometimes that's helpful. And feel yourself roll down. Trying to feel every vertebrae. I'm right in the middle of my back right now. And then the next little bit. I'm almost to the bottom of my ribs. There's my last rib. And then my lumbar is hard to come down one at a time, but I'm doing my best. Top of my sacrum is almost there, and then I'm going to roll into the sacrum. Oh gosh, that's lovely. Now, we're going to take this pose and we're going to turn it into a supported bridge, or you can do a supported shoulder stand. So I'm going to show you that. Now, this is where you'll need something to go under your back. A couple of throw pillows works. I'm going to use this yoga block, and I'm going to put a blanket on top of it because sometimes for me, the blocks are a little firm. So I'm going to put this next to me. Oh, I've got to get into that bridge pose one more time, and then I'm just going to scooch this baby in and then adjust. I want it under my sacrum, but I don't want it under this lumbar curve. I don't know if you can see that, but this is where the top of my pelvis is, right there. I want that right on the top of the block, and sometimes this is tricky for sacrums. If your sacrum is want to move around a lot, feel this out. And if the block is too firm and it feels like it pushes you around too much, you can try it with a softer surface, or you can do the supported shoulder stand as a legs up the wall version, or even legs over a chair or over your couch. In a moment I'm going to do that to show you how I do it over the beanbag chair, but I'm going to bring one knee in so it's over top of my hip, and then the other, so that way I'm not too jerky. And then I'm going to put the legs up in the air and let my shoulders kind of find a home. Now, I like to play with this shape while I'm here, right? Point my toes and flex them back. Reach through the toes, kind of feel myself almost like I'm trying to lift off that block, and then let myself get heavier. I might do one leg over top of the other for a bit. If you like core work, you can let your legs lower down to the point where you feel your deep core start to kick in, and then really draw those deep belly muscles up and in. And you might be lower than me, but that's where I first felt it, so that's where I'm going to stop. And then so I go down till I just feel that core kick on, and then scoop in deep. It's better to activate with a less intensity with my legs so that my low back doesn't do the work. And instead I'm doing it from these deep abs. And then come on back. And then you can just pause with your legs up. Now, if this guy is too much, or you want to relax a little more deeply, that's where we're going to get into our last, or our second to last possible restorative shape. So the second to last restorative shape is a legs up the wall, a legs over the couch. I'm going to show you legs on the beanbag chair because that's the easier one for me. Now you can stay right here because I sometimes like to do this supported shoulder stand for several minutes at a time. I'm going to take this guy out from under me, come down, and right where that block was, I'm going to rock on my sacrum. So when you're ready to come down, that's what you'll do. And then I'm going to just move myself over to this beanbag chair, and what I do when I'm not using the camera is I do this up over the edge of my couch, right? So just get yourself really close in, turn sideways, snuggle your hips right into the edge of your couch or the edge of your dining room chair, whatever you got handy, And then just put your legs up on top, and you can take your cushions and kind of stack them in here so that your legs go up higher, and this creates a legs up the wall, or I like to refer to this pose as instant Maui. If I had a cocktail with some pineapple and an umbrella and put on some reggae music or some Hawaiian ukulele music, I could transport myself to some tropical island somewhere in my mind. And this is a really lovely shape. So let me talk about inversions for just a moment while we're hanging out here, or while you're finishing up your shoulder stand. So inversions are fantastic poses for a couple of reasons. They do two things for us. One is it allows the lymph in the legs to really drain. There's big ducts up here under the knee. There's big ducts in here in the groins. And that, if you can get your lymph fluid to the ducts, it is very helpful for your body, because it can more efficiently clean you out. And when you're active and you jump around a lot, especially, oh gosh, if you can jump on a trampoline or hang upside down from some tree branches, that's good for you. But I don't do that. So this is the next best thing. So getting the legs up does that. The second thing it does, and this is a more mysterious, we're not sure why it works, but there were a bunch of studies done in India with larger and larger sample size, where they swabbed people's mouths and tested the stress hormone levels, and then did it again after inversion practices, and people's stress hormone levels went down significantly. In some instances, as much as, like as 18.5% reduction in the stress hormone in the body, which is pretty big, y'all. And so being upside down might maybe help us too, if we follow the same, it's hard to know what the variables in the study were, but if we can launch our own little personal experiments and allow ourselves to try it out and see, does it help me feel more relaxed and a little less pushed? There's a lot of reasons to be stressed out right now, but there's just as many reasons to try to calm that response when we're actually right this moment not in any real danger. So right this moment, sitting in my home, I'm safe, I'm fed, I'm okay. And tomorrow could bring a different thing, but right now, I'm fine. And so allowing my nervous system to come home to that notion can be really lovely, and that's what these poses can do. So what I would do if I were you is I would stay with this shape as long as you want. What I'm going to do in about another minute is I'm going to show you how to set up a really nice version of Shavasana, and then we'll finish there. Now the thing with restorative poses is you're not really meant to feel anything, you're meant to relax. And so that's what this shape is all about. Now if your toes get cold, you can certainly cover with a blanket or put on woolly socks. If you just get to like a place where you feel sort of dizzy or a little bit lightheaded, then you should come down, but we're going to come down really slow. So we're going to take about 3 more breaths with this shape. You might still be in the shoulder stand shape, which is fine. Now, so if you're still in your shoulder stand, you're gonna bring your feet down, or if you're in your supported bridge, you just get your feet under you, lift your hips up, take out whatever's under you, or we're gonna roll to our side if we don't have anything underneath us. So we're gonna roll onto the side, and I just make room for my legs, and put something under my head. It could be an arm, it could be a pillow, okay? And then don't go anywhere right away, because one of the things about holding these poses for a long period of time is, again, some things have changed, and often the blood pressure comes down. And when the blood pressure comes down, we want to take a few moments before we sit up or move, so that we have a chance to really let the blood pressure re-regulate. So the legs are down and I'm laying sideways, and that usually gives me plenty of time. Now, at this point, I don't feel lightheaded. I don't feel like anything is unusual, but if I did, I would stay longer. You might stay even for 30 seconds or a whole minute, just kind of hanging out, or longer, however long it takes. Now, to set up for this supported Shavasana, which is what I would recommend spending the next 10 minutes doing, is I would take some things. Now, if you happen to have a yoga bolster in your house, then use that. If you don't, you can follow along with me and use some kind of a cushion, a couch. This is the back cushion off my couch. So you could use that, or you could use 2 throw pillows, or you can use a blanket rolled up. Okay, I'm going to use a blanket under my head, a blanket over me, and I'm also going to put something in my palms. I'm going to use my yoga blocks, but you could use like a couple of bags of rice. If you happen to have bought several giant bags of rice at your house, you could put a couple of bags of rice in your palm. It just puts a little weight in the hand, and for some reason it feels really nice. So I'm going to put that guy up there. That's going to be my head. This is going under my legs. And then you can have throw pillows in your hands too. So then I'm going to put a blanket over top of me. Okay, so we're going to get in this pose, and you can stay for 10 or 15 minutes. We have probably about 10 minutes left in our practice, so I'm going to aim it that direction. And while you guys are laying here, just close your eyes and allow yourself to really sink in. And I'm going to do a little guided meditation while we're hanging out. So you're going to find your way into your Shavasana shape. And I like to pull the cushion right up against me and then feel. Like, does that feel right? Some people will like it lower towards the heels or the ankles. I like mine up a little higher. And then the only part of me that feels really chilly right now are my feet. So I'm going to cover my feet and legs with this blanket. And the rest of me feels okay. So you take a block and you just let it kind of settle into your hand. Or if you don't have blocks, but you got a pillow, use a pillow. Just weighting the palms. And I have a friend who has a yoga studio in Greensboro, and she made little sandbags or little bean bags just for this purpose, which is super smart, but I haven't done that. So get yourself settled, adjust the position under your neck and head, adjust the little weight in your palms. And if you don't have anything, you can just lay there with your palms stretched open. That'll be fine. And then allow yourself to take a deep breath and let go with a big ah. If there's any last minute adjustments, do those things. And then you're going to feel yourself get heavy and feel all the places where your body is touching the floor. And just find all the little places where you can feel your body touch the floor, like the heels. I can feel where my thighs and my calves are touching the prop, the couch cushion. I can feel the back of my pelvis gently resting on the floor, and that's the heaviest place I feel. And then up by the shoulders. So you're just doing that. You're just traveling through your body with your mind. Locating all of the places where the body touches the floor. And the weight of the blocks in my hands gives me this sense of my arms, especially the lower part of my arm, being really grounded into the ground, into the floor. So feel that weight, or just feel the weight of your arms if you're empty-handed there. And allow your mind to feel the floor or the deck or whatever it is that you're laying on come up and join you, and just gently support your body. Feel yourself being so supported. You can feel almost like the floor is holding you or cupping you in its hands, or the earth, whatever you're resting on, so completely that there is no reason that you have to hold back. Allow yourself to completely drop into the floor, into the ground, into the earth. Feel the presence of the body grow heavy like a stone. And imagine that earth is nice and soft and mossy, and your body just sinks deeply in. You become so heavy, like a stone on a soft, mossy bank. The body's so heavy. Experience pure heavy in the body. And now, almost as if you're turning into mist, feel the body become weightless and light, rising slightly up off the earth, becoming almost like a cloud or like a gentle breeze above the earth, just ever so slightly. Experience the body as weightless light, as pure light. The body is light. Imagine the body just gently settling back lightly onto the earth. Experience yourself just as a pure presence, a pure being. Not this body, but the beautiful light of inner awareness that lives there, has always been there. And watches the unfolding of your life completely unbiased. This part of you watched you grow up. It's always there, ready for you to come home to. Your Purusha, your pure light of inner awareness, inner being. Yogis, if you like, you can stay right here in this pose for another few moments. Or if you're ready and you want to join me in a seated pose just to end the class together, you can take a moment and just slip off any weight you've got on your hands and wiggle your fingers. And then stretch them out and wiggle them again. Stretch out your toes, and wiggle them. Stretch out your toes and wiggle them. And then move your wrists in little circles. Both directions. Little fluid movement with the wrist. Let the arms relax and move the ankles back and forth and round and round. And then give yourself a big stretch from fingertips to toe tips. Maybe a little banana to each side. Oh, now if you're staying, just stay longer. If you're joining me in a seated position, bring your knees in, give yourself a hug and a back massage. You know it's good to hug your favorite yogi every day. And then I'm going to move my little couch cushion. And I'm going to roll to the side. We're going to come up, and hopefully what we'll do here is we'll just pause where we are, right? Just where this practice landed us. This is my favorite time to do meditation, is to right after yoga practice, when I'm in this really lovely kind of peaceful headspace. It's harder when I've got my mind in a jumble. And you might just stay on your back if you're still laying there and just pause for a couple moments. Bring a sense into your heart of gratitude for your practice tonight, for each other. We're finding ways to join up in these kind of strange cyberspaces. I know it means a lot to me, and I hope it means a lot to you as well. So I'm going to invite you to join me for just a few deep breaths. We're going to try to count out a 6 count for the breath. A 6 count on the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get all the air in. 5. A little bit more. 6. And then hold it for a moment. And then let it come out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you're not breathless, hold it for a moment. And one more time, inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to the top 6. Holding a moment and exhaling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way out. Let yourself return to normal breath. Namaste, beautiful yogis. So I'm gonna edit these together to make one video and load that onto YouTube. So if you want to watch it again later, you can. Those of you that are joining me there, thank you for joining me here as well. And yogis, have a great rest of your Friday night. I'll post the schedule for tomorrow in a few moments. Namaste.
Namaste, thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Oh.
Namaste.
Namaste. Yogis, anybody have any questions before you go? All right. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Hey Jill, do you have any questions?
No, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. It looks so lovely where you are. Hopefully it was good. Yeah.
This is what I needed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you soon.
See you soon, I hope.
Yes.